How we doing, folks? Dave Brown here with the New Populist. Thank you for joining me again. So, it looks like the dust has settled, the smoke has cleared, and right now, let me emphasize that it does seem that this conflict or dust up with Iran is now over. Donald Trump's 12-day war. Now, did you panic? Were you one of the panicans that was freaking out, going on X, Twitter, and losing your mind? Now, if you watch my previous videos, I did warn you. I said, calm down, relax, and let things play out, especially in the era of Donald Trump. I did warn you, and some of you did listen, and some of you didn't. And the ones that didn't, right now, are looking a little bit foolish because many of them said some things that were, in hindsight, completely ridiculous. So, if you are Dave Smith and you said that Donald Trump was worse than George Bush and should be impeached, you look foolish. If you're Candace Owens and you're saying that white American men were about to die for Israel, you look foolish. And, for me, I go, why say these things? Is it just for clicks? Are they emotional, getting too wound up? I don't know. But either way, when you say a lot of stupid things and say things are going to happen that don't happen, you damage your credibility. And so when there is the next international situation, and there will be one, and they say something, the first thing people will say is, well, what about the Iran thing? You were wrong about that. Why should we listen to you? And they would be right to say that. So saying provocative and stupid things might get you clicks in the moment, but long term, it damages your credibility, which is why I like to hold my horses, let things play out before saying anything. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying don't speak up against war. I was against this Iran intervention. 100% I was. I am against war generally. So you can be against something, you can speak up, you can have your voice heard, and I think Donald Trump was definitely hearing a lot of those voices. But you can do so responsibly without saying ridiculous things that make you look like a fool. So let's be clear about that. Now, where does this leave us with Iran, Israel? Who won this conflict? Because if you go on X and Twitter, that's what everyone's talking about. We won. Every side is claiming victory, and it's kind of hilarious. And there's also so much propaganda going around, misinformation. Every side is trying to hide their damage and exaggerate the damage they did to the other side. So what is the truth here? Well, first thing, we'll never know for certain how much damage each side incurred in Israel and in Iran. Iran says their nuke situation is 100% fine. It was minimal damage, and they'll continue going on with their nuclear program. That's their claim. Israel says, oh, nothing was hit here. We're fine. Everything is good. Minimal damage. However, there are some reports that there were a lot of things damaged, but the Israeli government is keeping tabs on that and suppressing that information. So both sides, Iran and Israel, are playing the information game, lying or exaggerating the damage to the other while trying to conceal their own damage. So we'll never know 100% what kind of damage was caused to each side. Now, who won? Well, in my opinion, I think that's not a good question to ask. I don't think it's about winning. I think each side definitely gained something and lost something. That's the way I look at it. If you are Iran What did you gain from this conflict? Well, you showed that you can strike Israel. That's true. You also were able to have this conflict with no real threat as far as regime change. So people were concerned that the United States would try to cause regime change. And I'm sure that we do our things through our intelligence agencies, our CIA, Mossad as well. And we definitely internally want to have this, cause some sort of regime change. However, if you're Iran, I would feel pretty comfortable that your regime is stable and that the United States will not be able to topple it. And a stable regime gives you more credibility on the international stage. So that's what Iran can feel good about. What did they lose? Well, they did have 3 of their nuclear facilities struck by those B-2 bombers, and there was damage caused. Again, the extent we don't quite know, and we'll get conflicting information in the future. Everyone has a different story, so we just don't quite know. What about Israel? What did they gain? Well, they killed some Iranian military leaders. They destroyed certain military installations. They did get the United States to drop those bunker buster bombs that they didn't have. So that's what Israel got. However, Israel also got hit themselves. There was no regime change. And it does seem Israel wasn't able to pull the United States in as much as they wanted. So they got a little something, and they also lost something there with that. And what about the United States? Because I'm American, ultimately, this is where I'm really concerned. Well, what did we gain? There was no Americans killed. We did not put boots on the ground. And we did not get World War III or a new Iraq war. That's fantastic. If you supported the effort to bomb Iran, then, well, we did strike 3 of their nuclear facilities. So you can claim that to be a win as well. What did we lose? Well, I don't think in the future, again, that we have any shot at changing the Iranian regime, even if that's a good thing. We can do it. I don't think we can. Not Trump, not a future president. So that means that we have to now, and this actually could be a good thing in the long run for everybody, we have to go back to the negotiating table and actually use diplomacy to solve this problem with Iran, not bombs. And again, that could be good for everybody in the long run. However, if Iran does restart their nuclear program, is there a chance that in the future, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, we could once again go in there and try to bomb their facilities? Perhaps. So maybe this is just kicking the can down the road a little bit, which, again, not good, because I want to really settle the situation with Iran. So Trump has an opportunity now that the dust has settled and we're trying to move forward, to actually sit these parties down. Netanyahu, if he's not in jail, because they're going after him pretty hard right now in Israel, and sit down with Iran and try to work something out. Although, from Iran's perspective, they just withdrew from the atomic, whatever it's called, the AIEIA or whatever, I can't remember the acronym. Well, they just withdrew from that because they claim that the people from the International Inspection Agency are essentially spies for the West and providing the West information about their nuclear facilities. And I can't say they're wrong. So Iran withdraws from that. And from a Western perspective, that's not too good. However, you can't blame Iran. So ultimately, looking at the situation, it's a mixed bag. It's not really about who wins and loses. Everybody gets something, loses something, and we just go on to the next portion of the game, the the show. So that's the way I look at it. No winners, no losers. And we do, I think, have a chance, small chance, to use diplomacy going forward to try to put this situation to bed. Although, again, with Israel, you never know. People are talking about false flags against the United States to drag us into a war. I don't think that's happening. Everybody is aware of the false flag game. And if anything like that happened, I think too many people would be suspicious and call it out, especially after Iran was very careful about not hurting any Americans by calling us to say, hey, we're going to launch a missile at some base over here. Please knock them all down and make sure no one gets hurt. So they don't want the escalation. And if they didn't want it this week or last week, they're not going to want it a month from now. So I don't think anyone will buy that. Well, that is it for now. If you are new to my channel, like and subscribe, and I will see you next time.